All right, y'all. GPT 5.4 has dropped. I've been a heavy user of Opus 4.6. I want to see how this stacks up. Let's go. I'm going to ask it to build a working terminal app in Rust, okay? Goal here is to see what it can do. There is nothing in here. This is completely fresh. I want to see what it does. Because I've really only started using Rust with Claude lately and very much really enjoying using Rust. Actually, I did not expect to like this language as much as I do. It's incredibly efficient, a lot of fun to work with, but yeah, it's making progress. Took forever though. I think the one problem is like, how do I know that any of this it has done is actually going to work? So it's being confident, but is it correct is the question. Okay, we're 11 minutes in. Let's see how this does. All right, let's take a look. Okay. Okay, that actually all kind of works. So look at this. It compiles. We got everything in here. Jeez, y'all. So, okay, we got tabs. Okay, well, I can't really change between the tabs. How do I even actually know what tab I'm in? Okay, well, that's a kind of useless tab, but all right. Capuchin, Mocha, preferences, pane. Okay, font size. Oh, look at that. Oh, I didn't even ask it to make an adjustable font size, and it still did it. That was unexpected. Scroll back user nerd font automatically when it's installed. Advertise Starship friendly variables. Choose my theme. Oh, it auto switches. That didn't quite nail everything. Look at how it didn't get all of the theme colors. I'm impressed as hell, y'all. Like this went faster. Like, I mean, seriously, 5.2 crapped the bed when I had it working with like Gemini. They just could, Gemini and Codex 5.2 just could not build this. That took a grand total of 12 minutes. I am legitimately shocked. Okay, well, look at that. So, okay, we've got this. This all works. Let's see if it'll open my own terminal IDE. It does work in here, so I can open my own version, my own IDE. Though looks like some stuff, so some clicking in here doesn't work. Some shortcuts don't quite work. I couldn't use the mouse in there. Let's just give the last little test here. So can it do a split? Yeah, look at that. It does a split with scroll and everything. It did it. Well, that went so much faster than I thought it would. I mean, and now I'm curious as far as like token cost, how much this would have taken. So, I mean, I've been using 4.6 incredibly heavily lately. That's my go-to model. But the fact that GPT 5.4 was able to produce this in right about 11 minutes and change, start to finish, a legitimately kind of tough thing here that previously it's really struggled with. I'm impressed because we're going to take this and go a little bit further. So in Codex, I asked to do just a few other things because the last version of it was a little clunky, had a few things. So I said, go ahead, let's change the font weight. Let's make it, let's turn off italics. Let this be in settings. I need to also select the font. The tabs were kind of not, they were not showing next to each other. And the thing was I couldn't really switch between them. And then if I did open like my terminal IDE Ultra, tried that, mouse events didn't go into the terminal. So said, go ahead and fix that. It took a grand total of 60 seconds, but it worked, and that gave us this. So it's here. Preferences now include the font, include font weight, everything. I can do italics if I want, font size. All this is in here. Still have the themes and all the other lovely jazz. And if I want to add another tab, it shows up here. So overall working well. There's still some issues with UX, but again, like, yo, this has only been going for a very short period of time. So let's go ahead and do some changes. I think the UX needs to be not quite a UX like this. Borders, I don't know why these are here. I would prefer Capuchin Mocha, or actually no, I prefer Capuchin Frappe, which I think is a better theme color. A lot of the alignment isn't in here, so I want to really clean up this UX, get it kind of smooth, and let's see how it does. Let's give it that direction here. Something I personally like is having a command palette. So I'm going to ask you to put a command palette in with Command-Shift-P. We also need key binding settings. So let's add key binding editings to the preferences and a command palette that should expose all commands in the whole API. All right, so let's see that. Okay, let's see how it does. All right, so it says it updated. How did it do? Did decently, but I mean, hey, look at that. We've got a command palette here, not scrollable. Or no, there's scrolling here, but it's not full width, so that's a little annoying. I mean, but I can open the preferences, which it said it wasn't going to use. It was going to use a pane here, but okay. You get some first use of widgets above this text ID clashes. We got some other issues here. So it's first real bugs in here, but nothing too crazy. Nothing that makes it not work. It did tighten up the UX, but the tabs kind of intersect here. We got too much of a border in here between things. So this doesn't quite line up, but it's certainly, I mean, it's usable, and I can pop open my own like Agentic IDE in here, the terminal version at least. So it's working, it's operating. Didn't quite nail the instructions. So let's come back to Codex and give it some feedback. So all right, Codex, you need to make some changes, yo. Let's see how it does. Alrighty, so we're back. It's done a bunch. Let's see if it's fixed it. Yep, command palette looks way, way better. Preferences, got that fixed. So it's deconflicted the preferences. Close tab is Command W. Close pane is, yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, Command Alt. Okay, so we got those. They all work. Okay, key bindings. We've got more themes now. Let's do Capuchin Frappe. Ah, so much better on the eyes. There we go. And so we're going to actually go from a regular terminal interface where you go up, down to cycle through commands in your bash history and move on, and instead do kind of more like a block system. So I've asked GPT 5.4 to go into plan mode and help me figure out how this might work. Really curious to see how it does. It asked, what shell support target should it have? How should the app behave when you launch things? What history output scope? I wanted a persistent searchable scope in history. Text editor composer all makes a ton of sense. Clone and rerun every command when you redo it. ZSH is going to be app local injection. Overall, this is the plan it gave us. So we have a warp style block terminal mode, a new default pane mode that replaces the single terminal screen with a block timeline plus an app owned command composer while preserving the existing PTY backed raw terminal path for full screen and TUI programs. All pretty straightforward. Makes a ton of sense. So let's see how this goes. So far, building consistently. Let's see what it spits out at the end here. All right, so we're back and let's see how it did. So I was hoping to keep the prompt. I felt like the prompt is actually a really nice thing to have in here. So I think that's fixable. But let's just see, like, what do we got? Okay, so it shows it. Okay, cool, we got that. Okay, well, it doesn't, scrolling's a little clunky. Well, I did just do tree, didn't I? All right, let's try that again. Yeah, woo, okay. I think we asked a lot of it. So some things in here work, but boy, this does not. Because it looks like it just is struggling to deal with this really, really large tree command in here. So it's interesting in theory, but this is where it finally went off the rails. So we did great up until this point, but at this point, I think it kind of lost the plot, and we didn't give it a huge amount of definition. Its plan didn't really make something that functions. So I think this is where we found the shortcoming in 5.4. But still, in the amount of time we've spent, a grand total of an hour and a half, it's come a very, very long ways and done a lot of great work. So I think we understand a lot more about where it's struggling right now, but where it's strong as well. So thanks everybody for watching. Like and subscribe. Join me for the next one. I'll catch you soon. Cheers.